a lot of these apps, both fintech and the banks, need to work on is just that onboarding process, because they build so many fantastic features behind
like yeah,
thinking like, oh, everybody, but nobody actually even access or even gets past the registration.
Yeah.
So
I'm guessing from what you're saying, you're a fan of the idea of super apps.
No.
M-Pesa's kind of trying to Okay.
No.
Trigger word, clearly.
No. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it either.
Yeah.
I think super apps is something that's being pushed by vendors. I think it's something being pushed by the vendor of that particular super app, because even within the app, it's still a side add-on or something to. Okay, let's think of all the super apps you have, right?
Would you consider M-Pesa a super app?
Well, it's trying to be a super app.
Trying to be. Little Cab.
Little Cab is there.
I mean, I don't use any of this.
Even at least Little Cab, they're building it internally, so you can see that they have put the features in the right kind of, I wouldn't say the right place, but they're not something aside of the app. If there was somebody, or a phone company or O&M, who was having a way of integrating the payments to the phone, so instead of me just simply calling you, SMSing you, I can send you money as part of that whole, contacts interface. So that is part and parcel. I don't now have to go into another app, select your name, do this, do that, but it's part and parcel of what we're doing. Same thing with maybe like WhatsApp. If I'm chatting, I can then send you the money within the app.
When you say they didn't meet your expectations, what didn't they, what was missing?
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, the guys at the counter, whatever, they're empathetic, but they had to go through the KYC,
okay.
They just had to go through that. And, whatever checks and balance. I think we even had to get a letter from the hospital or something, and all this stuff. And it was just like, oh my goodness.
Not at this point when
there's a lot going on,
Yeah.
And they're just like, you just don't need this extra stress.
Yeah.
And I just wish it was a bit more streamlined. But the guys at the counter, they're really empathetic. Okay. And they were trying to get all the documents and tell you, come with all of this. But, the process is the process. Competing with the incumbent. There's nobody who is going to come and do agent banking and do it better than...
There can only ever be one.
Yeah.
They did it and they did it well.
So whoever comes will come from a completely different
angle. Yeah, I agree with you.
And then, because even with how M-Pesa came in, is because the banks weren't really looking at it in that direction. Wallets. And I'm talking about digital wallets. Every fintech wants to provide a consumer wallet, but there's the OG of wallets, M-Pesa. So today I'll just be speaking with a returning guest, one of my favorite guests, where we're speaking everything around wallets. So tune in. Karibu.
Thank you.
How are you? Introduce yourself for those who have not.
Oh, yeah. So, my name is Robert. I'm a product manager, consulting product manager. I've been doing this for maybe 15 years or so. And I just love wallets and apps and, the whole fintech space in Kenya. I think it's interesting. It's something that we should all just kind of participate in,
Yeah. And you forgot to tell people you're still using Loop. How's your relationship with Loop going? I think I'll start there.
Oh my gosh! As I said, I'm stuck in a loop. So
you're stuck in a loop. Yeah.
So I'm still on it, but I don't want to be branded as the Loop guy. So, I use them and I use the other wallets, and I like to compare between them and what else is in the market. And, I've given my thoughts. I think they can do better, but I'm still a, what do you call it, subscriber or user or what to Loop, yeah.
Okay, very interesting. I broke up with Loop a while ago, and I don't think I sometimes log in and see is anything different, but I think from on the surface, it's still very foreign to me from what I was used to. But I guess I'm not their target.
Yeah.
So Just starting off, can we maybe just talk about what is a digital wallet? Like, I think definition would help.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky definition, and I think, I think Chris will come and give the whole etymology of what a loop wallet is. But for my definition, basically, it's it's a store of value, a digital store of value.
Yeah.
And based on that value, can then transfer it to a recipient, an individual or a business.
Yeah.
And I think at the very core, that's what it is. It's some sort of store of value that's digital.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you consider wallets that have like a place where you can save money? Would you call that like a wallet? Because I think sometimes I struggle with that. Like I don't put money, say, like into my M-Pesa and put like a lot of money in there. It's just, as you said, for transacting, paying people, paying businesses. Yeah. What's your thoughts around that?
I mean, I think there are many use cases for the wallet. And, initially you have to, just deposit the money and then see what happens. And then over time, there are different value adds that come into place. Saving is one of them. The one that really took off is now, credit.
Yeah.
And people, taking loans and all that. But I believe, savings is one of them.
Savings, one of them. Yep.
Savings definitely is one of them. But I don't know if we're a saving culture. That's
It's not us, it's our economy.
Hence the reason. I don't think we're in a saving environment. So it's difficult. So, there are very many use cases and very many ways to add value. And I think that's one of the things also with the new wallets that are coming up. They really need to define who they are in that space.
Yeah.
And what value do they bring in and what's their position in this? Just simply saying that we also store, value. I mean, we know the biggest player in the market who does that pretty well. So, they need to come in with a very good idea of how they'll attract us as consumers.
Okay, cool. And I guess you just alluded to it. The biggest player, the OG of wallets, the big green giant, M-Pesa, that we know of. I mean, would I say love M-Pesa? It's convenient.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do find it quite an expensive way to transact. Those transaction fees are quite high, especially if you're doing like numerous transactions during the day. I'm just like, I'd rather find more affordable ways to transfer that money. What are the changes that we've seen of wallets in like the African landscape and Kenya?
I was thinking about it when I was coming here, and I was like, originally, even before we could like deposit cash, we were using airtime almost as like the value, Then we started doing that whole Sambaza thing where you could send airtime to each other, but it wasn't cash. And I think a lot of people were trying to find a way so that it can actually be the value of money rather than airtime. And I think even when I was reading about like the history of Cellulant, that's how they kind of spun off when they were trying to, get paid for their ringtones without using airtime.
Yeah.
And over the course of time, then, M-Pesa was introduced. And in the similar sense, we were able to then, transfer money to each other and transfer money from, I think initially it was like urban to rural, I think. I think even if the ad...
send to your shushu.
I think the ad was something like that, if I recall. Or maybe that's what they were pushing, but that's what's in my mind.
Yeah.
And over time, you came to find out that we used it more and more daily. In fact, I think I use it more for paying businesses and things than, receiving money.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody sends me money anymore. I mean, we need to sort that out.
Wait, when you say no one sends you money anymore, like,
please send me, please send me something, because I was looking at it, I was like, okay, normally I'm the one who's like, you pull from your bank,
then
you transact, but it's coming more and more rare for you to actually, transfer money to each other. So I think that's one of the things that also is kind of trending. We're moving it to be more of a more than peer-to-peer kind of transfer to more of like paying bills, paying shops, and things like that.
Yeah.
And then, as you said, obviously
it grows, you'll find that people want to start savings and people want to start taking loans. People come up with creative ways to, for example, pay for healthcare or something of the sort.
Yeah.
But I see that across Africa, it's the same route. But we came up with the MNO kind of vertical, But in Nigeria, you might find other people coming up with just the app, and they're the ones who are, setting up the agents, but not part of the, mobile network per se. But of course, the mobile phone is the key driver to all of this stuff. So, yeah, I think that's the trend that I'm seeing. It's not necessarily only going to be driven by the MNO, but also you find that the apps are coming in.
The apps are coming in.
And of course now the banks, so that there's quite a bit of money and transactions going in, so they're also coming up with their own kind of way of transacting. I don't know if we can call them mobile apps, man, but I mean, wallets for the banks. I think they looked at it more of like a transition from online banking to mobile banking. Let me put it that way.
And for me, that was the biggest confusion with the new loop. There's the wallet and there's the bank account.
They.
It was just like, what is this?
I think at this point you just need to bring them here to the
show.
Your show, and they explain to you, because I don't know what they're trying to do with that.
Yeah.
But the other banks also have, good apps. When you look at the ratings and who's downloading.
Yeah.
A lot of them are banks. Equity is doing pretty well.
Yeah. INM. I bank with INM. I know you have but I do think. Just the other day, yesterday, I had an issue with my card and I had to cancel it.
Yeah.
And I got my card delivered, activated it on the app. I literally never have to go to that bank. It has free, I know I'm biased because I worked there and I built the app. But it's an amazing piece of work.
I think it's great, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think you have to be a customer of INM, because for you to be registered, because I tried to do it. And, they told me I have to go to a branch to do it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was no branch where I live.
Okay.
I'm in rural Kenya. And so there was no branch. So in this economy, you want me to put gas and petrol and go and drive and open an account, and I was just like, okay, I'll do it when I'm in the next.
But actually, fun fact, I think they have opened. Actually, I'm pretty sure they've opened a way to register an account online.
Yeah?
Yeah. So go check it out. Yeah.
I'll go, because I finally when I came to the big city, I went to one of their branches, and they asked me for the ID and all that, but they never mentioned that. In fact, what they mentioned was that they're opening a branch where I live. So I actually even told them, okay, don't open. Let me wait for it to come.
Yeah.
It never actually came by. So, I was even laughing. I was like, no wonder they call it INM Go, because, Tembe Kenya was taken. So you have to, they have to think about how to build it for people who are not, in the major cities or something of the sort, because that's the essence of a digital experience. You want to be for those who can access something, to be able to access at a scale that is reasonable.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
But I totally agree with you. If banks figured out, because the onboarding or registration process is it has so much friction. It's so bring all these documents.
Exactly.
Really, do I need to? I can do this all online. If banks figured that out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, is it the regulation or what is it? Because the Fintechs are doing it,
Yeah.
You can just download the app, you give them the ID. Worst case scenario, you scan, but these days you can actually just, punch in your ID number and it pulls off all that stuff. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of these apps, both Fintech and the banks, need to work on, is just that onboarding process, because they build so many fantastic features behind thinking everybody, but nobody actually even access or even gets past the registration. So
I mean, working in a bank, I know it's just they're kind of very risk averse. anybody could open an account. How do we make sure, like, we are covering ourselves? But I think, check out the I&M one.
I think so. And I think even with the risk averse, I think that's why a lot of them were spinning off these like innovation, subsidiaries that are digital so that they can get away from that either bureaucracy or whatever it is. I don't know how it has panned out,
I mean, I think, again, working in one of those as part of my work experience, it's always a big challenge. Like you're trying to move this mothership to start thinking in like a different way.
Yeah.
It will work out for a while, but then like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. It will, then you get back to those old habits. Having to sign off like a change with 65 people, customers are asking, we asked for this change. And I can imagine that's kind of what happens in like this banks.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I struggle with banks, like, because I feel like they can be the biggest enablers, but they're just stuck, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. Yeah. Okay. So we're, I guess, talking and looking between like banks and like fintechs. It kind of sounds like you think fintechs are doing like a much, much better.
Fintechs have an advantage because what they can do is they can target like a vertical and just go deep, They can go really deep in it. For example, a bank will never give you a bank statement. Like for whatever reason, you go there, they tell you we got to print it, you got to pay 30 shillings per page or something of the sort, and it takes forever. But a fintech will come and say, we're just going to do a bank statement, and that's all we do, and they hire everybody just to do that. So they have that flexibility. And because of that flexibility, you find that they're able to do things either faster and even just more. Yeah. Just a better experience. Now, a bank, unfortunately, I don't think they have that luxury. They need to spread out. They need to cover all their products, or all the departments. Somebody will say, oh, but where is my, wealth management not in this particular app? Where is my, retail will complain and say, oh, you're taking all the business out of the deposits, and you find that kind of friction happening. So I feel like the fintechs, I wouldn't say they're doing better. It's just that they have much more room to do these things and go deep along one particular aspect, without really worrying about the rest of the things. Yeah, that's very true. I guess like also just going back to wallets, I think we touched a bit about this like in the intro. Like I know there are different types of wallets. I've seen wallets for like healthcare. Like I think there's one called Imani Health. There's wallets for, again, like a group savings wallet. And I remember I saw your LinkedIn post where you were looking for. I was looking, and then I got reminded about Chooms?
Chooms, yeah.
Sorry, I confused it with Chura. That company had another app that had a frog on it, and that's for some reason I just stuck in my mind ever since. But so I was looking for a group thing because I was trying to get a M-Pesa pay bill for fundraising. And it took forever, and they have to go through the KYCs and all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it takes for a long time, and fundraising. You're not fundraising for fun. It's not fundraising. It's fundraising. And so I was just getting frustrated. And I was like, okay, is there another way to do this? Is there anyone else who is tackling this problem? And came across, like, for example, Chooms. I don't know if they're quite there yet, but at least they're attempting to do it. And I think a lot of also the fintechs and everything are looking at it in an individual point of view. Like, I feel like a lot of the apps here in Kenya, we forget the social aspect of it. So you find like even something like chat or something or with a group, you can't really do it on the app. You have to
do it outside.
It's outside the scope of this particular.
Like on WhatsApp or something.
Exactly. And so I was just like, who is trying to push this thing? Who's pulling those WhatsApp APIs and just helping that the whole experience is just within the app.
And I kind of agree with you. I feel like, especially in the fintech, there's no one's looking at it like holistically, like a bit of investment, savings, payments, collections. Like it's either one's like really focused on like one area, but not looking at like
Yeah.
Either this is the persona is a business, what can we build?
What can we do?
Or
Like,
is it a consumer, what can we build around
and even
them?
with the consumer, it's they're not looking at it from a lifestyle everyday kind of use, like a 360 view of this consumer. They're just saying, well, we take your payments and we pay someone.
You pay somebody.
And then you're like, okay, but there's so much value around that, especially since you're dealing with money. You're probably going to deal with everything within society.
Yeah.
But you find that either that is too much of a scope for them, or maybe they're just not looking there. So there's a gap I see. Like, it could be a lot more social, it could be a lot more lifestyle, it could be a lot more interactive. But
so you're, I'm guessing from what you're saying, you're a fan of the idea of, like, super apps. Like, I know M-Pesa's kind of trying to. No. Okay.
No. No.
Trigger word, clearly.
No. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it either.
Yeah.
I think super apps is something that's being pushed by vendors.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's something being pushed by the vendor of that particular super app, because it's still, even within the app, it's still a side add-on or something to. Okay, let's think of all the super apps you have, right?
Would you consider M-Pesa a super app?
Well, it's trying to be a super app.
Trying to be.
Yeah?
Little Cab.
Little Cab is there.
I mean, I don't use any of this. I'm just
even at least Little Cab, they're building it internally, so you can see that they have put the features in the right kind of, I wouldn't say the right place, but they're not something aside of the app.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So for, like, example, with M-Pesa, you find the mini app stores and are separate to the transactions of your thing. So it gets quite tricky when you're trying to either extend that app or anything. So, for example, what I mean is, if there was somebody, or a phone company or O&M, who was having a way of integrating the payments to the phone. So instead of me just simply calling you, SMSing you, I can send you money as part of that whole, contacts interface. So that is part and parcel. I don't now have to go into another app, to select your name, do this, do that, but it's part and parcel of what we're doing. Same thing with maybe like WhatsApp. If I'm, chatting, I can then send you the money, or, within the app.
Yeah.
I know Safaricom tried that and then something happened. In fact, I'm really waiting for that story.
You're waiting for that story?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. What happened to Alpha and all those guys?
I don't know. I mean,
someone needs to come up with a documentary for that one.
Okay. You've given me a good challenge.
Yeah. Get to the core bit of what happened there.
Get to the core problem of what happened, yeah.
Because I remember they tried it even.
It was called Bonga or something, I remember.
I don't know, because Zach came and even saw it.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And then went and tried to implement it in Brazil or something. So I don't know. But that's a juicy story that we need to get to one day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I mean is, it's not really about it being a super app where you go and you do everything, but it's part and parcel of what you're doing.
And yeah. And I like that. I mean, I agree with you. Like, let it be part of, like, that experience. Imagine us texting, and then, like, here's some cash I'm sending you because you're telling me you don't receive money.
I don't, man.
Send you, like,
and as I told you earlier, I know you're being monetized. I want my check.
You want your check. Your check is coming. Your check is coming.
No, not a check. I want my M-Pesa. We don't do checks.
You don't do checks. Awesome. So yeah, not super apps. But yeah, I mean, I'm very keen to, and I completely agree with you, like how M-Pesa has gone with these, like, mini apps.
Yeah.
I'm just like, it just feels very, like, you won't remember naturally. Like,
that's the thing. It's not, and you'll go in and you'll just do your quick transfer.
Yeah, and then leave.
Yeah.
Like, if I need to buy a plane ticket or a bus ticket.
Yeah, it's not your fast.
Yeah, it's not my, let me go to the M-Pesa. Yeah.
So I don't know how, I don't know, the designers who can reconfigure that, but that's what I mean. It's not your first choice of go to when you're thinking about these other things of, like you were saying, insurance or, unless that company says we go to the M-Pesa app and we are there and transact there. You probably will just go to that vendor directly.
Yeah. Awesome. Really cool. So just, I guess, how would, after your LinkedIn post, I know you have sent like a few recommendations. So you checked out Chums, and I think there was another one. I've forgotten the other.
Yeah, there was a few others, but to be honest, I wouldn't recommend them. So
why not?
Like we ended up getting the pay bill like 2 weeks after, and we just told guys go to the pay bill and
I remember when Chris was being sued.
We managed to raise 100,000 Kenya shillings towards the legal bill for the suit by Cycle. I'd like to thank everyone who gave their money from 20 shillings to 50 shillings until we managed to get to 100,000.
Yeah.
He has a friend who does like a collection like thing, notebook. And it seemed to work really well for us. So maybe try that out.
Excellent.
I don't know what the requirements were, but it seemed to work really well. It's one of the ways we collected money for his case.
We want an update on that one as well, man.
On the case.
I prefer really not to speak. If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble. And I don't want to be in big trouble.
We're not allowed to talk about it quite yet.
I'm even watching my wife now. Who have I spoken about right now? Okay. It's all good.
But try notebook. When you say they didn't meet your expectations, what didn't they, like, what was missing?
No, don't get me wrong. I mean, the guys at the counter, whatever, they're empathetic, but they had to go through the KYC, They just had to go through that. And, whatever checks and balance. I think we even had to get a letter from the hospital or something and all this stuff. And it was just like, oh, my goodness.
Not at this point when
there's a lot going on, And they're just like, you just don't need this extra stress.
Yeah.
And I just wish it was a bit more streamlined. But the guys at the counter, they're really empathetic. And they were trying to get all the documents and tell you, come with all of this. But, the process is the process.
And did you try, what is it, GoFundMe?
No, because it wasn't like that big.
Okay.
We weren't trying to like cure cancer at this point. We were just trying to raise money for the bills and all that.
Okay.
And we just needed something that all of us as either family members or whatever could just contribute to.
Yeah.
And so that's really what we were trying to do. But we got it, and it all worked out at the end. So it was great.
Cool. Yeah, because I think I've tried to fundraise once with the GoFundMe, and it felt like a very straightforward process. I think the only issue that I ever had was like the transaction fees are quite high. Yeah, which like don't make sense.
Which is also like the point of all these wallets. I find like the transaction fees, at some point they'll have to, be zero. But right now it's almost getting to the point where you're going to stop using a lot of these wallets.
Yeah.
Especially in this environment.
Unless you move to I&M, as I keep telling you. Like, it's free. It's free right now. They're going to give us frugal. They're going to give us that gotcha. Yeah. You think so? I am so frugal. Like, if I'm sending money to, like, say, a person, I'll send it via, like I&M.
Yeah.
Then if I'm sending to a business, because it's like like till number is free, so I'll send money to M-Pesa, send to that. And I'm like, yes, I've saved 60 bob. But, it's just like that.
I feel like they're going to get us that gotcha because I know another app that told us that. And then one time they just pulled the rug under us. And you know that app. We don't need to keep
Which app is that?
We just need to keep... So, I mean, I feel like right now, when you're sending like, 1,000 shillings, it's so expensive.
It's ridiculous, yeah.
So I feel like, eventually, I think they keep saying it's going to be a race to zero where maybe you won't be charged for deposits coming in. Maybe it's when you're now coming out of the ecosystem or whatever, when you're actually getting cash out is when you'll be charged. And I think a lot of the Nigerian, mobile money and wallets are based like that, where within the app it's free, depositing is free, even sending to someone within that, it's only now when you're cashing out is when you get charged.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I think that eventually that's where it's all going to head to if it's not all free, because I guess they have to be paid somehow.
Yeah. But I mean, one thing, like I'm a big believer, like M-Pesa is like with, carry, like, really targeting businesses, really targeting like people who are employed. Sometimes I'm like, M-Pesa is a major loophole.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a loophole in this country, which, like, I think a lot of people use it.
Yeah.
Like, just to get away from all this.
I think even though they are stopping to use it, actually.
Yeah, that's so true.
Once the full pseudos were released, I think, you found a lot of them stopping to accept M-Pesa, but also a lot of them also saying that transaction charges are too high, so they've also stopped accepting M-Pesa. But I don't know if it's, a larger trend per se, but, it indicates that times have changed. Something's going to have to shift.
Yeah.
With the transaction charges.
Yeah.
Or some more value has to be added for it to be justified,
Yeah.
And I think even like petrol stations, they'll even tell you, hey.
The other day when I was fueling, some guy told me to send money. I'm like, I sent to your... He's like, yeah, just send. Tila ifanyi kazi. I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, sure, we have paid you. And yeah.
Exactly. But I don't know. So, yeah, I think that's the way I see it. And but luckily for us, I don't know, when you look at the greater things, despite of all the wallets, and there are many.
There's so many. Everyone's got a wallet.
Yeah. What I'm happy about in Kenya is that there hasn't been a scandal yet. There's nobody who has lost money per se. I don't know. I haven't had.
I'm sure Chris has. Chris Oro.
I mean, apart from the fraud that happens within, the committees and
yeah.
What I'm saying is like there's no crash of the entire business. For example, I think Nigeria there's a company called like Patricia.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they ended up giving people like tokens and calling them Patricia tokens instead of their cash.
Really, I've given you money.
Yeah.
Then you're giving me back Patricia tokens.
Tokens. I don't even know what they did. And then even then they said, forget that. We'll give you shares. Shares of what?
Oh no.
So I don't think we've reached there as
Yeah.
Although, I mean, we'll see how it goes. But there's another company in Nigeria also. I don't know how they were valued. It's called Bill Point.
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard of that one.
So it was valued at $40 million.
Wow.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But when you look at the app, it's just like paying utilities, like you pay electricity.
40 million?
It's just like the utility section of any Fintech. And you can't send money, you can't do anything. And it pivoted from a real estate company. And so it's just like...
Sounds us.
Guys, do we need red flags to be posted here or what? So, I don't know. I mean, someone needs to tell me exactly what 40 million worth of value comes from these things. Either that or we're just in the wrong business, Wangari.
Yeah, we are. But I think one thing, like, I always say, like, I guess M-Pesa is like, would I say trust it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I wouldn't say trust it, but like, because I never leave a huge amount in my M-Pesa wallet. Like at Max, honestly, I wouldn't leave. Yeah. Like, I get money in, I'd rather put it in the bank.
Really?
For some reason, but it's like I wouldn't. Wangari personally will not go open a wallet with some new random fintech.
No.
Hey, those ones I'm like, wait and see.
Yeah, that one. Like, it's just in and out. Like you don't. It's not. You're just trying to get whatever you want and get paid. But I think a lot of Kenyans actually bank with M-Pesa.
It's true.
I think they've pulled their money out of the banks.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the banks are, what were they? How many have more than 100,000 Kenya shillings? Like, so little. So I think M-Pesa is really, I think the trust is there. I think the trust is there.
I don't know. I think like when they brought in products like Fuliza, now Kenyans have a very, I'd like to say, a toxic relationship with. Like, it's like...
But it's the economy, man. Like, what are you going to do, man? Well, you don't have the money, someone's offering you, you're trying to pay your petrol, whatever, and then someone tells you, hey, by the way, here's 1,000 shillings. You couldn't finish your transaction. You'll pay the interest rate, no matter what it is,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's predatory, maybe. But but it's useful.
Yeah.
It's useful to a large majority of people.
Yeah, I guess it is. It is useful, but for me, it's just like... Sometimes I question whether... when you're sending some people money, they're like, no, don't send to that number, send to this number because you're on a Fuliza. We're not bringing in good habits. Behavior and habits to the consumers. And that's kind of like my fear. And also like, we talk about financial education, financial inclusion. I think it's going backwards.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like that saying goes, if your money can't help you, just eat it. Like what can you do? Like, how are you gonna tell someone to save 1,000 shillings when they're adding 5,000 shillings? I mean, surely. Like, let them just enjoy it, and life will go on. But I feel like for M-Pesa, they're doing what they can do. Right now, I think it's more of like they're coasting. Are they really pushing the edge like before? I don't know. I don't know if they're really like really pushing it, but they're trying things here and there.
Yeah. I read this book Sydney shared with me like about M-Pesa, like some of their big visions and goals. They were like at the beginning they were very ambitious. But I think as you said, like right now it's just like coasting and they're very comfortable. I'd imagine to see so much from them, like even just around like something as simple as healthcare,
and I think that's what they were trying to do with the mini apps. It's like, okay, let's outsource these things because we don't want to deal with them. Let's find the developers to do that. But I don't know if even if within that space the APIs and all that are worth the mini apps that they're giving, because they're very limited in what you can do. For example, I can't send you money within the app. You still have to go back to the M-Pesa app and do that. So they have really limited the scope of what can be done in those mini apps. But the other guys can come in. I mean, you've got many players in there. You've got Fingo has come in. It seems to be
Fingo. How's your Fingo experience?
I'm not using it as much as I thought I would be using it.
I just think we're the wrong customer audience. Me, when I see those emojis, I'm always like...
Yeah, but you're not.
I'm repulsed by it and I'm not the target audience. I'm like, what children put this together?
Because
it repulses me.
They're targeting the Gen Zs and those kind of, that league of people. So you're too old for them.
Definitely. I am not the target customers.
But they also could properly target them. I think right now it's quite, the things that they're brought in are a bit gimmicky.
Yeah.
They could really.
What are gimmicky things that they brought? I mean, I've seen the whole like when you put it like it feels like very, like as I said, it's been put together by a child. Like what gimmicky things have they?
I mean, like the spin to win. I don't know.
Spin to win. Oh.
I think the way they did the emojis and send, so you can send someone and it looks like it's a chat thread, but you can't chat. So it shows like you've sent this guy this much and then they've sent you back this much, but it's not it's not to the depth that you expect it to be at.
Yeah.
So things like that, I feel like.
But maybe that's why there's no depth in this generation. Maybe that's why
they're targeted. I like them, man. I really haven't. I enjoy my time with them because they just think different, They just think different. They act different. So I feel like with that, these guys could have had an opportunity to really target the next kind of wave, cultural wave of people and grow with them.
Yeah.
It's not that they will always be, 21.
Yeah, they all, exactly.
They'll
so I don't know if they'll grow with the brand, exactly.
Yeah, maybe then it's a brand where, you just come, like, it's like a nightclub and then you leave.
You're like, hey, those days when we used to go to queues.
Yeah, those days I used to use Fingo, man. Those were the days. But
But that's unfortunate because I think, I agree with you, they could be like a lifestyle choice, like how are you, but... Yeah, you'll get over... Yeah.
I think at some point someone will be like, you know what?
I need a serious bank.
I need, finally got my job. I need to, I can't tell my boss, send me to Fingo. pay me with Fingo. No.
Yeah.
So I think over time they'll do that. And yeah, I mean, but there are many others. In fact, the thing I've seen, like when you look at the top apps, especially like with the iPhone, you find that it's not only Kenyan apps. Like here in Kenya, you find that the Somali apps.
Faras.
Is it Wyatt or something?
Oh, what's Wyatt? Oh, okay.
Wyatt. Or is it Eritrean? There's a lot of Ethiopian apps as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I was looking at that, I was like, nobody's also talking to these communities that, and clearly they're big enough to kind of affect our, top whatever apps. And yeah, I feel like that's another angle or whatever they should be looking at and saying, we are such a diverse group of people here in Kenya. Why can't we, also target these guys?
Yeah.
And I guess they would use it because they would really want to send those money, whatever, to those kind of places.
Yeah. And
since someone in Ethiopia has built kind of an app to do that, they're using it.
Yeah.
So, the MVP has been proven that guys could really use better apps for those communities.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of switched over to Faras. So that's the new ride-hailing app. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, and I feel like I'm supporting like local and an upcoming.
I mean, I use little. I stopped using. I don't use Uber as much. Mm-hmm. Definitely don't use Bolt.
Why, definitely.
Hey, Bolt.
It's the cheapest usually.
No, it's a robbery on wheels, man.
Robbery on wheels.
Hey, no, I don't even know how anyway, they got their license the other day.
Yeah.
But definitely not, no, I do not recommend, with the Bolt. But I like little. It's, they're trying. They're trying. You can see, even when the drivers come in, they're enthusiastic about it. Like, hey, you use this app and all that. So I feel like, like you're saying, there's room for other people. It's just how you position yourself and how you stress, how am I different from the competition?
Yeah.
And this value is targeted to this particular person. This is the person who will see the value and appreciate the value the most. But right now, when you look at the way things, everyone is just like, I have a wallet, you have a wallet.
Yeah, not realizing the value.
Yeah.
Also wanted to touch on your thoughts around, and if you know any of these wallets that are doing like cross-border payments really well, because like it's such a challenge. Like you'll go next door Tanzania.
Yeah.
Like, there's like, I think Kenya is a huge like mobile money country. Like our neighbors like Tanzania, Uganda, they're still heavy, like very heavy on cash, and they're like sometimes very skeptical when you're like, you're sending me where? Tiwapi? Just give me money.
Yeah.
Which sometimes makes me question, like, what's going on in these other countries? Like people up, like I know M-Pesa Africa is pushing for
it's
like
pushing
wallets.
It,
but when you go on the ground, it's like completely different.
It's completely different. And there was, like there was Chipper Cash.
Oh yeah, whatever happened to Chipper Cash?
I don't know. And
I saw this day they're trying to do like KYC stuff.
Yeah, I think they also realized there's not. Perhaps we don't send money to each other as Africans or something.
No. Especially to Tanzanians. Why?
I don't know because they rebranded. I remember the country manager moved. I think now he's in Flutterware or something. So I think even they just kind of pivoted or something because it's not as much. And I did download it one time, but I couldn't do much. I think I could just buy airtime.
Oh wow!
So I was just like, what's going on here?
I need money.
So is it for sending money? But there is a lot of, there's a lot of transactions going, inter-country. But I just don't know if we're not understanding how the money is moving or why it's moving.
Yeah.
And we're implementing perhaps a lot of Western ways of thinking about how that money is going to be used. And so it's not really getting entrenched in the culture of why the money is. But I know there's a lot of money moving around
Yeah.
intercountry. It must be. I mean,
There must be, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just the way it is. But perhaps our approach of how we are dealing with this is not, it's not the right way.
Yeah. Okay, super interested. Where do you think, like I know none of us have a crystal ball and we can't tell the future. I mean, if we did, we'd never have done many things. But where do you think like the wallet landscape is like headed to? Do you think there'll ever be ever a fintech that actually takes over for like M-Pesa? Because I think everyone's just trying to.
Like, they say, here's the thing, innovation doesn't come by competing with the incumbent. There's nobody who is going to come and do agent banking and do it better than...
There can only ever be one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did it and they did it well. Yeah.
So whoever comes will come from a completely different
angle. Yeah, I agree with you.
And then, because even with how M-Pesa came in is because the banks weren't really looking at it in that direction. So I feel that, I mean, obviously there's always a possibility of someone, coming and dominating from M-Pesa, but they'll have to come with something completely different, something extremely valuable. But it will not come by competing head on with them. I mean, the only way you'll do that is if you spend a lot of money, and you're not going to spend more money there.
Yeah. I mean, Elon Musk is trying to change X to be like, maybe that. I'm always like, maybe, let's see whether you manage.
I mean, oh my gosh.
You don't have Elon fun?
I mean, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Starlink. Mm-hmm. I like Tesla. But I think with Twitter, I think it's one of those things where, it's just not it's very hard to convince people to move from what it was, just like a town hall shouting match thing, to a banking hall where people are transacting. I mean...
Yeah, that would be a very hard to try.
Even mentally, just...
Twitter streets.
Yeah, exactly. Are you going to put your money in the Twitter street?
No.
So I just don't see it happening. I mean, oh my gosh. And it's just controversy after controversy. And eventually, it's good to get that PR, because all PR is good.
Yeah.
It's good. But eventually for people to trust you with their money, where it becomes, I think he's trying to make it an everyday app, And why is everyone wanting to be WeChat? Everyone keeps saying, we're going to be the WeChat. But that works there.
In China, yeah.
And, it's not going to work anywhere else. And, so I just don't see the way he's heading that as the direction to go. But nobody else has come up with any clever idea so far, so let's see.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of think like I think you said this earlier on, it will have to come from like a social, like maybe like WhatsApp. Like I can see that really working well in WhatsApp if WhatsApp figures it out.
I think like WhatsApp, especially here in Africa,
it's so ingrained in
it's like the next, I even tell guys, don't bother making a website, just make something on WhatsApp.
Businesses,
just move to WhatsApp and just make sure you're servicing the clients on WhatsApp. And I think that's, like, especially in Kenya, it's like 99%,
social e-commerce, like people have their catalog. It's very, very, very easy.
It's there whenever you're in Instagram, people push you to WhatsApp. As much as there's Messenger, you still...
that's true,
you still go to
WhatsApp.
And, the things that they're introducing, I think there's something called, like, web flows, which is now, like, forms. And basically, you can get a whole shopping cart now.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
On WhatsApp, and then you throw your mobile money and you're good to go.
You're good to go.
So I think, you're right. I think,
But that has to go through a lot of like the regulations, I'd imagine. In this. It's like, because that's going to take a whole bunch of like M-Pesa customers. And
I think they tried to do that in Brazil, if I'm not mistaken. But regulation, the Brazilians said, hey, hold on a second. So you're right.
Okay, cool. Is there anything else you wanted to... I see you've also been going hard on the media houses. I know it's not part of them.
No, I think, it's like... it's always painful to watch the ones who have the greatest assets and capabilities not doing what is required. And I have a feeling that the people who will suffer are going to be the low-level employees.
Yeah, so true.
Who are going to be let go just because, they're just stuck in a certain way. But, the media companies, they're not like the banks. You can't tell me it's because of regulation or because of...
I think they've just refused
I think,
to innovate.
I think it's just,
honestly, yeah.
It's a very old school fraternity there, and it's just not, it's not pushing.
It's not pushing.
They're not even pushing themselves, and oh my gosh! So after I went to pick up a newspaper the other day, and it's just like, what is all of this, man? It's just tenders and auctioneers.
And auctions, and maybe some jobs from the government.
And the government, So, and then, how are you going to criticize the government if that's what's...
Yeah.
If you're dependent on them like that, there's no way that's going to happen. So, I feel like they're the ones who... They have so much potential, We could be recording this in their studio.
Exactly.
But,
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
I also don't know. I just think they've, as you said, some very, there's a change that needs to happen with their mindset and their thinking. And and innovator, they surely will die.
I mean, they're already on that slippery slope. So let's see.
Okay, cool. Any last?
Yeah, I'm trying to put up a list of banking apps and possibly wallets and their features.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, so maybe, if you can help me link it to something, I don't know, to this video or something.
Okay.
So that people can help me fill, because I can't register with all the banks.
Okay, cool.
So I just want to see, what are the features that are present in different apps. And so, I'll give you a link.
All right, awesome. So, we can definitely do that. Just share it, and then we can start collecting that info.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Cool. So there you have it. I would love to hear your thoughts. And as Robert mentioned, if you know of like your favorite wallets that you're using, or your favorite bank, just place it in the comments, and we'll collate all that information and share it back with the viewers, because I think it would be helpful to know this information. So, until next time, ciao.
Thanks.
9 to 5 has good vibes.